pro wrestling junkies, and welcome to another episode of Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Today's guest hails from Saskatchewan, Canada, and has worked for such promotions as High Impact Wrestling, High Impact Wildside, Prairie Wrestling Alliance, Prairie Pro Wrestling, Ringside Wrestling, Premier Championship Wrestling, to name a few. His current PWA champion has held the HIW Canadian Tag Team Championships, as well as the HIW Central Canada Heavyweight Championship and the PCW Tag Team Championships. Along the way, he shared the ring with the likes of Jacob Creed, Cannonball Kelly, Bobby Sharp, Kat Von Hees, Kenny Omega, Jimmy Jacobs, and Cody Rhodes, again to name a few. So let's welcome today's guest, someone who's probably been to the gym more this week, it's Tuesday, than I have in the last 44 years, the man with flex appeal, Michael Allen Richard Clark. Michael Allen Richard Clark, how are you?
I'm well with a mouthful of food. Sorry about that.
Oh, I don't care. I'm not offended by any means. Are you in Saskatchewan now?
Yes, I am.
And did you grow up there?
I did not. I moved around a bit. My high school years were spent in Manitoba, though. So,
okay,
like middle of nowhere, Manitoba.
You weren't moving around because you were wanted.
No,
I
not
just
as
want to clear that.
Certainly
I don't want
not
anyone to start getting ideas in their head.
They can get whatever ideas they like, but I was pretty young when I was moving around. It was more my parents. I have older parents, so they retired out to Manitoba.
All right. Did you have siblings?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we get into everything, I just wanted to ask you a question about one of the matches that I saw you had. A Fans Bring the Weapons match.
Is that in Saskatoon? Is it that one? I've had a couple.
It was a tag team. It was a tag team match. HIW.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was in Saskatoon.
So, are there any limits on what someone could bring?
Honestly, we kind of go through it a little beforehand. Like someone brought a sock full of push pins, and it wasn't even like the flat thumbtacks. It was like an actual push pin.
Oh my God!
Obviously, we threw that in the garbage. And there was a lot of light tubes that we also. No, not deathmatch. No thanks.
Did people bring them in like they thought they could have them, or sneak those types of things in?
No, they brought them because what they had is they had a big garbage can at the front for that specific one, and people would just put all the stuff in the garbage can, and we kind of went through it and like, are you kidding me? No. I had another one in Calgary for PWA, and it was also a tag team one. I believe it was a 6-man tag though, but someone brought. I don't even know what it was other than like a hand harrow. Like it had a big handle. It was a big like gardening tool, and it had spikes. Not even joking, like this in like a big wheel. And like
they wanted to kill you.
That's what I said. I threw it out the door at the back door of the locker. I'm like, piss on this.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That someone's like, I got the perfect thing to bring tonight. You know, it may kill them, but it's going to be awesome.
Fans bring the weapons. I'm going to bring this thing that's actually, if you landed on it, you would die for sure.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the guy would go to prison for the rest of his life if that happened. So, okay, so someone's monitoring what is used, but the fans can't hit you with anything, right?
No.
Okay.
It's us monitoring it too. I mean, if we were okay with it, I'm sure we could have worked it in somehow, but I was like, no thanks. Piss on that.
Okay, and I'm sure you get this question a ton, and I'm sorry, I just have to get out of the way. So, is your legal name Michael Allen Richard Clark?
That's all real. That's 100% what I am. And it's funny, when I first started wrestling, people like I kind of had different names in the beginning, and then I got injured unrelated to wrestling. I was also a hockey player.
Okay.
And when I came back, the first match that I had back, like we're talking first 5 matches, it was someone just said Michael Clark. And then after all the veterans were around and in HIW at the time.
Okay.
And they're like, what are your middle names? Because, you know, my middle name's Alan Richard. And they're like, oh, Alan Richards, Michael Richards. You know, they're trying to piece things together. And then someone's like, Michael Alan Richard Clark spells Mark. And then there we are.
So did teachers, like when you were growing up, every year when you'd go to the next grade, did the teachers have a hard time getting your name correct?
No, I was just Michael, honestly.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that I had a problem with is if there was another Michael. For a lot of my elementary years, there was another Michael. So there was a Michael B and a Michael C. So that's about as far as it went. Okay.
So when you were growing up, was there an age difference between your siblings and yourself?
Yeah, my siblings never really lived with me. I have a half brother, and he's 10 years older than me. But when he would visit, he liked wrestling as well. So, I mean, it's kind of unfair now because when I was growing up, he would kind of beat up on me a little bit. But I mean, he's 10 years older, and now that I'm a 200-some-pound guy, he's, my back, this. He gives me the runaround, right? But yeah, when they were around, they were wrestling fans and stuff. I'm assuming that's where that was going with that.
Yeah, like did who got you into it? Like, do you remember the first time you saw wrestling?
I have like little memories growing up of wrestling. I remember my mom telling me names because she kind of watched it a little bit, but she never watched it when I was younger. She watched it like in the 80s.
Okay.
And it was actually one of my friends that got me into wrestling when we were like 7. And my first like sort of memories of wrestling are the summer of '99. So like Ministry, Undertaker, and Kane and X-Pac were a tag team at the time. That was like really my first memory is Stone Cold stunning D'Lo Brown on a truck, which my brother was watching with my dad. I wasn't watching with them, but I remember seeing that.
Oh, wow.
But my earliest like memories of like actual shows and stuff that I would go out of my way to watch was like '99.
I have a question for you. First, it's for you personally, and then for your family. What do you love more, hockey or wrestling?
Wrestling.
Okay, what about your family? Would they say the same thing?
My family is very supportive on whatever I do. My dad loved hockey, and I mean, I liked hockey. Don't get me wrong, but I hate a lot of hockey players.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Are most every kid put on skates when they're in Canada when they're young?
A good amount, especially in smaller like town areas. Like a lot of people, if you're not playing hockey, you're probably like on a farm or quadding or skidooing or something like that.
Oh, okay. So were you as athletic like growing up? Like taking care of your body really well?
Yeah, I was pretty skinny growing up, and even if you look early into my wrestling career, I was pretty small. But I've always been, very coordinated and very athletic. Kind of lucky there. So that's I've always picked up sports pretty good. Okay. I did play like semi-professional hockey, like junior A and stuff. So.
Oh wow! So that keeps you. Does any of that translate to wrestling?
No, there's nothing like nothing. just like hockey. There's no real training you can do other than skating that gets you in shape for hockey, and it's just like wrestling. There's no really other than like absolute kill yourself blow up drills. There's still nothing quite like wrestling to get you in that cardio.
Okay, so you're in really good shape. I've seen you with your shirt off. I'm not getting weird. I'm saying,
I try
in the ring. I'm 44 years old. I have no definition, nothing. How long would it take for me to get to, like, when you look yourself in the mirror later, how long could I even get there at this point in my life?
Absolutely you could. You just gotta be consistent and work on your core lifts, like your bench press, your squats and your presses and your deadlifts. Get those like really down. I bet you a year and a half, you'd be looking a ton better, and you probably put on some size. I'm willing to bet. Yeah, if you're consistent.
And do you have to go out? I'm sorry, I'm asking this stuff.
No,
do you have to go out of your way to like eat more, or does your appetite come naturally?
I think it would come naturally. Like maybe in the
Okay.
beginning you'd have to eat more. Like when I first really decided to start gaining weight,
Mm-hmm.
as funny as it is, weight means nothing to me, especially. Like I care more about how I look than the weight. Early on when I first started really working out, I really cared about what I weighed, and I got like almost a little pudgy, like a little bulky.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked much better at 205 pounds than I ever did at 225 pounds, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
it's just finding like the right mix for you, because you sort of like it's figuring it out for yourself too. Like everybody's like a little different, but I
Mm-hmm.
think if you work hard and eat when you're hungry and keep yourself full, you can put on some weight for sure. Because when I first started working out, when I used to be like literally 150 pounds.
Okay.
I would eat till I was full, and I would keep myself full all day. That was like my goal at the time
Okay.
when I gained weight.
Oh, okay. And how did it take very long to put the weight on?
Yeah, like I started seeing it when I was working out. Before I started training to be a wrestler, I was,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, 150 pounds, and my goal was to be 200 pounds when I started training to be a wrestler.
Okay.
I was in a very good shape, 200 pounds, but when I got to 190 or 195, I'm like, okay, let's go. But then
Yeah.
all the training and cardio brought me back down to 170 because it wasn't a good 195, right?
All right.
But
Um,
then I came back up, and like you figure out what works for you, sort of thing.
and so like no one's telling you I need you up at this weight, you know.
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. The only thing that I ever got directed is when I first started wrestling, I wore a singlet, and
Okay.
the promoter at the time said if you put on 15 pounds up top, you can start wearing trunks. Like it was just sort of a suggestion. Nobody,
Oh, okay.
I mean, you look at indie wrestling, there are some guys in great shape, and I'm not saying I'm in the best shape by any means or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some guys that clearly don't care.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like that. I feel it's like sometimes you see like police officer who's like I don't know, like completely out of shape, is not going to stop anyone. Like how
That
does
guy's not going to
how
catch you,
does
right?
yeah, how does that slip through, like the system,
Indie wrestling is soft for it, I guess.
Yeah,
Like everybody's got too much of a heart because, I mean, if you're in indie wrestling in the 90s, you get beat up and stuff, right?
true. That's would people that you went to, let's say, high school with, would they be shocked to find out you were a pro wrestler?
Oh, probably. I assume, honestly, I have like no contact with anybody from my high school except for maybe a couple of people.
Sure.
So they know. I'm sure some of the people that haven't seen me in years would be a little surprised, but I
Mhm.
think my graduating class was only 24. So I
Oh,
feel
oh
like
gosh.
most of them might have an idea, or at least have come across me in the last, 10 years.
Yeah,
That,
if they have the internet.
yeah, exactly.
At the very least. So, what was it that, like, do you remember, like, the moment where you're like, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone, or I'm going to email so and so, and I'm going to start to start training to become a professional wrestler. Do you remember, like, that moment?
I always wanted to do it, like ever since I started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to do it, and like throughout my teens, I remember going on the internet and like looking up schools and stuff, and like coming across all kinds of stuff like Killer Kowalski and the Monster Factory down in I'm not sure where it is, Georgia, I believe. But you
Mm-hmm.
find different schools, and then I was finding stuff that was sort of local-ish to me. Like Winnipeg was kind of the closest place to where
How
I
far is
lived.
that?
It's still 5 hours away,
Oh, God. Okay.
but it was like the closest wrestling thing that I had at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up moving to Regina due to hockey. So
Okay.
then I started looking around the local area here. But yeah, ever since I can remember, I've always like wanted to wrestle, basically.
And did you, was your family, like, supportive of that, or did they want you to, like, go on to, like, school after high school and such?
Yeah, like I think every set of parents in your family wants you to go to school and stuff, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
they were very supportive of me wrestling. They've never been like, oh, you shouldn't, oh this. And I think they're like pretty happy with the things that not that I've accomplished anything, but the things that I've done along the way. Like if you had told me when I was 16 that I would someday maybe get a WWE tryout, I would be like blown away. That's like a goal, right?
Yeah. Did so, like, did you So you found the trainer. How did you pick the one? Was it based on distance at that point?
Yeah, it was. I remember I was looking around, and the only thing I could find near here was a place in Moose Jaw, which is about 45 minutes away. And
Okay.
funny enough, they're kind of, at the time, like they're not around anymore, but they were kind of looked down upon by like the place I ended up training at, because some of the people that ran it started training with HIW and then kind of quit and then just decided to open their own promotion. So a lot of them were viewed as like backyarders, untrained, whatever.
Okay.
But I happened upon a site and it listed every like independent, every show, wrestling show in the world. And it was every day. It was like Monday, January 1st or whatever. These are the list of shows going on in the world if you submitted it. And I came across one in Regina and I'm like, oh, like, wonder if they're here consistently, and they were. So then I looked them up, sure enough, and then I contacted the promoter. I emailed them and I never got an email back, of course. So I went to a show and decided, well, if they're good enough, like you don't know anything at the time, but if you deem them good enough. So then after the show I went up to the then champion. I didn't know who to talk to, so I decided to talk.
Were you alone?
Yep.
Okay.
So I decided to talk to the heavyweight champion. I'm not 19 years old. I'm like, hey, I want to train to be a wrestler. And he's like, yeah, go downstairs. There's this bar area. All the wrestlers were sitting there, some of them anyways, of the older guys were sitting around. Go talk to the big guy. So I did that. Kind of intimidating, walking into a bar full of like 30-some-year-old
looking
men.
for someone who's the big guy.
He was a hefty fellow, but it's just like intimidating because you're some 19-year-old by yourself. And I just asked them to train me, and that's sort of how that went.
Did they give you, specifically on this evening, did they give you like trouble? It's like, you know what I mean? It's the young guy.
Some of the guys kind of like teased me a little bit, but no. Honestly, like he just said, go upstairs and tear down the ring, and then he gave me his phone number. I'm trying to remember. This was quite a while ago now.
Okay.
And I phoned him, and they had this like little show the next week or something on a random day. So they said, oh, come on down beforehand. We'll let you like bump and we'll see like how you like it, sort of thing. Because he was very honest, like, I'm not going to take your money until you decide you want to do this, because if you don't like it, I'm not going to take your money. And he was very honest and good that way. So I went down to that show, and it was just at this like school. And that's like really the first like, whoa, eye-opening for pro wrestling. And of course I was early, but our wrestling time is never early. So I got to do it after the show. Okay. And then they told me the training schedule, which was Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe, and Saturdays. So I went down, and this place, they used to rent a garage in literally the middle of the hood. And the front of the house was like empty at the time when I first started training. So then this ring was outside because it was in the summer. So then that's pretty much where I trained, was outside in the middle of the hood.
So if it's raining on a day that you're training, you just don't.
We would have to tear down, or we wouldn't be able to if it was raining, because there's no cover. And the mat that we had at the time was like this slick black mat. So if it got wet or anything, it was literally like ice. Yeah,
people get hurt. How long if one person to put up a ring?
What you can't one person? No, not that ring. That ring wouldn't be able. If you did, I'd be very impressed. 2 people could do it. It probably it really like pounded it out, maybe 15-20 minutes.
Oh, okay, not bad. I was thinking it would take hours.
No, God, no,
not at all. So prior to this this tryout, had you ever been in a wrestling ring before?
Yeah, actually, I had been to a couple local shows that weren't local to us, but they traveled around and they did little tours. And I had been to one in Dauphin, which was nearby where I lived in Manitoba. And then I had been to another one actually in Regina before I started wrestling, and even, knew about our local wrestling promotion. So I paid to go in the ring with the Hurricane and Billy Gunn at those shows. So I had been in a ring. That's the most I'd ever been in a ring.
Okay. So the first day of training, how long is it each session?
We would pretty much just go until we decided to be done, or until it was too dark. at the time.
Okay.
So, 10:30 probably from 6 or 5, depending on the day. Some days we show up a little earlier. There's times where it was only me and one other guy. So we'd just go do drills all day.
And there's someone that will just work with you all day long?
Yeah. Like,
as long.
Some of my, I probably don't remember the best. The promoter would be there. His right-hand man would be there. And then there was another guy, and the promoter and the right-hand man sometimes would like go for coffee or like piss off or whatever, or be in the garage. So me and another guy, or there was oftentimes numerous guys down. We would just, the one guy who did a lot of my training, he was only a year in actually, but he's also a coach, like an actual amateur wrestling coach and a teacher. So I feel like I took to his style very well, because being like hockey coaching, it was kind of similar to that. It's like do things over and over and make sure you get it right every time, sort of thing.
Sure.
But he did a lot of it, and I'm sure that's sort of like frowned upon, but his style was like really good for me. And then some of the other guys would come down and they just basically have a tag match and beat me up for a couple hours, legit, just like beating you up, and then give me a little bit of like a hope or a spot, and then cut me off, and then just do that forever.
And then in your head when this is happening, like, do you think, are you thinking, they're like, I did something wrong and they're like, I pissed them off or something? Or
no, they never
did you just know that this was part of it?
Yeah, they never really roughed me up. Like one of the first times I was training, there was actually a training session, and a guy named Wavell Star, he's done stuff for WWE and OVW and stuff.
Okay.
And he pulled me in. He had, like, I was brand new. Like I just learned to run ropes and bump basically. So then he put me in all the corners and chopped me up, and everybody got to chop me up, like sort of those things. But I never thought that they were picking on me, because I just figured it's just being tough and making sure, weeding out the weak, if you will.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Making sure I can handle it. But nobody ever did anything malicious to me or anything.
So would you at the beginning go home pretty sore?
The first like 2 weeks I could, it's like when you bump and get up, you're using your abs so much. And like, not that I never worked out my abs or never did a sit up, but like, man, I remember the first couple days, like I couldn't sit up out of bed. Like I had to roll out of bed. And I remember thinking like, man, I'm going to be this sore for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But eventually your body does get callous to it. And honestly, you get pretty good, especially when you're bumping all the time. Like the aches and pains just kind of go away because you're so callous to everything.
Can you wrestle a match now and feel fine afterwards? Not like,
I probably would be a little stiff and sore. Like you feel it in your neck and your lower back. Or at least I do myself. And I'm only saying that because it's been quite a while because of COVID, because there's obviously not much the way of shows and no crowds and stuff. I feel like I'd be a bit sore, but I have no doubt that I couldn't wrestle a match.
Okay. And when was your first singles match? Did you think you were ready, or did somebody tell you you were ready?
I was not ready. And this was in August, mid-August of 2011. I had started training in June 2011.
Okay.
I got thrown in a rumble, and they kind of just beat me up and then threw me out. But then my first singles match, we had these like small shows up north at these Aboriginal Indigenous reserves. And I got put in one of those, and I was definitely not ready.
And did you tell us, did you like say, listen, I'm not ready to go out for this match? And what did they say? Just go out there and listen?
No, I didn't say anything. Like I just, experience honestly is the best teacher, at least for me. Like every match, like I got better, because it's just like you get used to things and used to how things go. And I would have never said that I wasn't ready. Like that's just not something I would do.
At that point.
Being said, if I did, I think they would have just sent me out anyways. So
have you seen this video of this match yet?
I have not, and I don't want to.
You don't want to. Did you have fun for like your first match?
Yeah, like wrestling's always fun. It's like, whoa, I just wrestled a match, but it was a very shitty match, and it had just rained, and like I said, that black canvas, it was like ice.
Oh God.
And it was just a mess, honestly. Like the first opponent that I had ever wrestled was also inebriated at the time. It was just a whole big mess of things. I remember at one point in time we either whipped and reversed or something, and I remember our arms slipped off each other, and I could see him sliding away, and I was sliding opposite of him. That's how slick that ring was. Yeah, it was just a whole bunch of. Oh, sorry. Go.
What point did you realize that he was drunk?
The whole time, because he was drinking all the way up. It was an 8-hour drive.
Oh, you were driving together?
Yeah, well, we were in the car together. Yeah.
Okay. And were you like saying anything? Like,
well, I didn't really say anything, and I didn't know who I was going to wrestle until, hey, you're wrestling so and so.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Ooh, all right. Well, we'll see how this goes.
So is there a big difference wrestling someone who's drunk as opposed to someone who isn't? Like,
from my memories, like, I don't know. Like, I think now I could probably handle it.
Okay.
I think we could have probably done okay, actually. But at the time, like, I don't know what I'm doing literally, like, just trying to do stuff, right? So,
at what point do you like work on, like, you start thinking about your character? Like, is that part of training?
It should be. It really like wasn't like a big part of the training that I was in. I know other trainings definitely come up with a character, promo class, like stuff like that. I never really had that. It was more like, especially promos, it was like experience is the best teacher once again. A character and stuff, like I really started thinking more about that. I went to a Ring of Honor camp in 2013, 14, I think. And it was a pretty big deal one. Like, it was their first one that coincided with New Japan. And they had Nakamura there, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole. Like, they had a plethora of, like, who's who there, right?
Yeah.
And I remember they were pointing at people. We were all around the ring. And they're like, what's your character? What's your character? What's your character? When they got to me, I didn't have anything because I was just some generic baby face at the time.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, shit. And after that, I was like, you know what? I really do need a character. And I like that kind of stuff. I love characters. So then I was also really into, I was trying to like work out more and put on size and all this other stuff. So then over that next year, I was like kind of in a faction. So I really incorporated a late 90s WCW Jericho. Like, he was being so over the top, so outrageous, so goofy. Like, dumb hair. Like, I had this long curly hair at the time, and I was doing pigtails, and I was doing anything stupid when I turned heel so that I could just stand out in some way and be a goof. And then after, I decided I was really into the bro science guy. I thought he was hilarious. And I'm like, you know what? We need a gym douchebag. So then that's where I sort of got that idea from.
Yeah. Is it, in your opinion, is it more fun and can you be more creative being a heel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I like it. You're more insulting and more like, I'm a naturally, like, as a hockey player and stuff, I'm naturally quick-witted and stuff. So you're not going to beat me very well without getting something back. And when you're a babyface, it's a little different. It's kind of funny though, because in Saskatoon, I don't do anything different. I'm a babyface up there. And they count along with my push-ups and all these other things. I'm sure if you watch that Fans Bring the Weapons, like we're the good guys in the match, right? So it just depends where you are too. But
is that hard to, like, in one place your character is, this kind of personality, but somewhere else it's...
No, I don't think so. It's just the only thing that it affects is how you structure a match, if you will. That's the only thing that's different, at least in Saskatoon.
Did you what's your longest match been?
If you include a rumble, I've been in a rumble for a long time. I went from number 1 to the end. I don't know if it was an hour or 45 minutes or what it was. I've had easily numerous half-an-hour matches though and stuff. Is
doing a rumble fun?
Yeah, it's fine. Like I have some very fond moments of rumbles. Like I've been in the final a lot, like as a bad guy, and it usually actually gets the good guy over very well because they want to see me get eliminated, if you will. And one of my fondest moments is a Rumble a couple of years ago, we had Mick Foley in. So Mick Foley came out, gave me the mandible claw, and then I got eliminated. Like, that's a very fond memory that if you told
Wow.
8-year-old me that I'm going to get a mandible claw from Mick Foley, like that was pretty cool.
Wow, that is really cool. Okay, so outside of the ring, is it hard to like have a relationship?
No, like I keep those things very separate. Like,
okay,
my personal and wrestling life, very, very separate. Any relationships I've had and stuff, people have been supportive, but
okay.
I don't think it's hard. Wrestling doesn't affect it. I mean, you sort of know what you're getting into because of the travel and things like that. So, but no.
Do you watch wrestling like as a fan, like, you know, like the Royal Rumble was the other night, or is it hard to watch and enjoy?
Watch the Royal Rumble. I do still enjoy wrestling. I do like to watch it. I don't have 30 hours a week to
totally
to all the content that they have. Excuse me, but I do like to still watch wrestling. I look up things. Yeah, I do still like to watch it.
Oh, okay, it's cool. Do you have IWTV?
I do not. I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
Oh, it's like independent wrestling television. It's like every single independent promotion all around the world. It's incredible. I've seen you on there.
Oh, really? Oh, that's really
totally.
Cool.
Yeah, so, you know, if you ever get yourself IWTV, just type in your name and stuff will come up. Just wanted to let you know that.
Good to know.
So, how did you come about working with Kenny Omega and Cody?
Cody Rhodes was just HIW brought in Cody Rhodes, and I got to work him. That was the booker's decision. Simple as that. Kenny
Did
Omega.
You get excited like a fan?
No, not like a fan. I was definitely nervous, but that match really, really to me showed me that I belonged and could hang with these guys. Like, before that, I mean, there's other great independent talents around here, and I could name names forever, but you don't know what it's like until you're in the ring with a guy like that, especially in a singles match. Like, it was great, and he seemed to like it, and that's really like, wow, like, hey, I can hang with this guy. The Kenny Omega thing, once again, a booker thing, I think. The funny thing about that is, forever, because of my long curly hair, I always got, hey, you look like I was on a show with AJ Styles, and he came up to me and he's like, hey, Zay, are you related to Kenny Omega? And like, it was an ongoing gag that everybody would pull me aside. Actually, at that Ring of Honor camp, Michael Elgin called me over from the other side of the ring when I was outside the ring, looking all serious at me. Like, he's like, hey. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, are you related to Kenny Omega? And I'm like, that's all. That's any name that was around me would ask me that. And so funny enough, they booked a tag match. It was a 6-man tag. Kenny does a lot of tags in Winnipeg because one of his like good friends is there. At least that's what I assume why. And he just has fun in Winnipeg, honestly. And I was I actually wore his gear and was an imposter Kenny Omega for that match. So that was
really cool. That's cool. Was that fun?
Yeah, it was. And like, how many people can say that they've worn Kenny Omega's gear? Like, I wore the spider gear and his kick pads and everything.
You've mentioned a couple of things throughout this where I would have retired after those things happened. Like after the mandible claw, I'm like, all right, I made it, you know, and end it there. Does when you get up, say like on a Saturday morning and you have a match Saturday night, are you excited or are you like oh, I have to work tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited. It is like, oh, I gotta work tonight too. But yeah, it's exciting. Like, depends where it is. A lot of I'm trying to think. Like, a lot of the shows that we had locally here are on Fridays, and a lot of the Saturday shows that we would have were out of town. So it's more like get up in the morning, drive 8 hours, wrestle a show, drive 8 hours back the same night, get home at 7 in the morning, try and get 5 hours of sleep, you know? Yeah, like we have a car of guys that we would just, you know, we got so accustomed because we did it for so many years, like PWA, like that Prairie Wrestling that I'm heavyweight champion. They're in Calgary and Edmonton, and those are both 7.5 hour drives. So we have to leave at 9 in the morning, and we get back at, like I said, 7 in the morning usually on average.
Has this situation ever happened where you're driving a car and on the seat next to you with a seatbelt on it is your championship belt? Do you
No,
ever no, nothing like that?
PWA keeps their titles actually.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the promoter keeps them in a bag,
That's
and
probably really smart.
well, like you never know. Maybe a guy will
Yeah,
disappear with it or something, right?
totally.
And HIW, I would keep the time, but I just kept it in my bag, honestly. And I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes they're a pain in the ass, extra 15 pounds in your bag.
Yeah, yeah. Did you do a lot of in front of the mirror stuff with your belt or belts for your
No,
tag team championships?
no, definitely not.
Okay, and the last thing, does winning belts impress anyone in your family? Or are you
I think
still just
my
Michael?
I think my parents and like my brother and stuff, like they think that's cool. Like, oh, they're like, I'm pretty sure my dad would go around and be like, he's heavyweight champion in Alberta and Saskatchewan or like wherever, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess so. Maybe I'm a little more humble about it, but
Yeah, and like even if you lose a belt, no one like in your family comes you say, "Listen, we support you." Just very disappointed that's never
no,
happened.
no, I've never
Okay,
had that happen.
all right, Michael. I'm going to let you go shortly. Can I ask you 5 random non-wrestling related questions?
Go right ahead.
I Okay, let me say something. I generally ask my wife these because sometimes they might go off in a different direction. I didn't get her opinion on these though yet, so just
Oh,
putting
they're
it out there.
straight out here.
Okay, have you ever killed a mammal with your bare hands?
A mammal with my bear? No, no.
Okay,
A
good.
mammal's pretty
Um,
big. Like that's like a monkey or a human or whatever else.
have
Like that's pretty
have you seen the show Alone? So this is a sidetrack. It's
alone.
it's a
No.
yeah, it's a
Is it
program
like
where
that
they
Naked and Afraid kind of thing where they
it's
drop people
just
in the
like that.
wilderness?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but with
okay.
no, but with clothing and stuff. And they do a lot of times it's in Vancouver or like upper, over on that side of Canada.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, and a guy killed a wolverine with his bare hands. It was insane. Okay,
Wolverines aren't that big, but like, yeah, okay, that's pretty
but it
cool.
was
Like,
like
if I had to, I think I could,
it was
but
in the middle of the night too. That was the craziest thing. That like all you see is
yeah.
like a flashlight going around and kills this thing. Anyways, let's get back to your exam. Can you insult me in a language other than English?
Yeah, Binyak.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna think
It's
that it means the
Ukrainian.
worst.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's apparently a really bad word in Ukraine. That's the only word
Oh,
in Ukrainian I know.
all right. Well, thank you, thank you. For $6.2 million, would you tomorrow or like Monday or Tuesday move to Iraq and spend the rest of your days there? You could bring one person with $6.2 million. You could have a really nice
But could I not
place.
just live in a hotel with that $6.2 million in the States and wrestle or something?
No,
Like,
no, you
yeah,
got to take that
no.
money and go to Iraq.
Oh,
I don't know
I
if they
can't
have like a
wrestle. I can't leave.
Holiday Inn or an extended stay.
I can't leave and wrestle though.
No, you can't. No, you're moved. It's like you're retiring. You're going off to the retirement village. No,
Probably not, honestly. Like, I
all
mean,
right.
my family is very important for starters. I understand I can
Mm-hmm.
take one person, but like, what the heck am I gonna do if you have $6 million and one other person in Iraq and you can't even wrestle or like,
Yeah.
can I travel?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, of course. Like you could go to Iran if you wanted. There's a bunch of places
No
in that
traveling back to
area.
North America. Like, we got to get the real
Maybe to
detail.
visit family, like for different holidays and stuff. But why not
What
just
about
meet
my
the?
wrestling family?
Well, why don't you just meet everybody in Afghanistan halfway and have a
Oh,
lovely time there?
and
All
I'll
right.
pay their tickets. Yeah.
We'll talk about that some other time. Would you ever paint like a tasteful nude of yourself and then hang it? I don't know where you live, obviously, but like when you walk through your front door and it be displayed there?
No, because I'm not a good painter. I can draw. I'll draw one, but I
Oh,
can't
okay.
paint.
All right, as long as it's tasteful. And the last question, you've done great so far. Did you cry when Prince Harry married Meghan Markle?
I could give less about the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
My my girlfriend and her family love The Crown, and they all, and even her sister and her boyfriend, and they all like get together and watch it. And I sit that one out. Like I don't mind watching TV.
Uh-huh.
I don't watch much TV. I don't mind watching the odd bad movie, like
Yeah.
shitty rom-com or a Hallmark movie, especially in season. But like The Crown is just so dry to me. Like, no, I don't care about the royal family.
So you just kind of go into a different room, or?
Oh, that's what I don't watch it with them.
Oh, geez. Does anyone watch wrestling with you?
Not really, no.
Anyone come watch you wrestle ever?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So
I definitely get support for that.
Okay. Okay, so I know it's crazy. You guys have the virus in Canada, right? Have you guys heard about? Okay, yeah,
the
I'm
coronavirus.
starting to hear. Yeah, I'm hearing more and more about this thing lately as I turn on the news. But are you booked for anything in 2021?
Not yet, no. Honestly, I want to be honest. I've been also recovering from an injury, so I haven't. There's nothing to be booked for. As soon as PWA or as soon as they allow crowds, I know PWA is going to run, and I'll be booked there and other local shows, but nothing exciting. We're not even supposed to be leaving the country either. So.
Oh yeah. Well, can anyone say? I don't know where you live. Like, come by or drive by in the morning and see you like getting the newspaper from the end of your driveway, just to like see you out and about.
You may have seen me at the store.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm just like common folk, just like you. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and putting up with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope things start. Do you know anyone who's gotten the vaccination yet?
No, but I think we're like starting to roll them out. They're like rolling out the most vulnerable people first.
Yeah.
So hopefully, me being so healthy, I might not get it for a while.
Yeah, good. I hope so. All right. Well, you stay healthy, and I hope to have you on again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll be in touch. Take care.
You too.